Howdy and salutations, my boys, it's me, Deshaun, and today I'm going to give my thoughts on this comment Ludwig made. Well, in regards to what happened with this iDubbbz drama and him turning over a new leaf. Now, when it comes to my take on iDubbbz turning over a new leaf, go ahead and do what you want, but me personally, I feel like he's kind of beating himself up a little bit and being dramatic. Obviously, there's nothing wrong with wanting to do better, but this dude needs to stop being so dramatic and acting like he was the worst guy on the internet. Saying Leafy has no chin is not the most vile thing that you could do. I've put up with worse and dealt with worse in middle school, for God's sake. iDubbbz was just a nerdy guy with some really corny and unhinged jokes, talking shit about people who honestly deserve to get shit on. He might have viewed himself as a bully on the internet, but he was a bully of bullies. If you're being hypocritical or if you're being stupid, he was that guy to put you in your place. All of these douchebags and flexers had something to fear. I could go on and on about this iDubbbz thing, but yeah, he's being very dramatic. If he wants to change, you know what? Go ahead and change. There's nothing wrong with that. But stop acting like you're repenting for doing something horrible on the internet when you're not. You just made a bunch of corny jokes and treaded some really thin ice in terms of what's socially acceptable and what's not. Outside of that, though, how does Ludwig tie into all this? And we'll be getting into that right now. So there's this post on Twitter with this clip of some random YouTuber reacting to what iDubbbz is saying. Now, before we hear this dude's take on what iDubbbz just said, I'm gonna give my opinion on whether or not the content creator should be responsible for what their audience does. Obviously, as content creators, our jobs are to entertain. If you pick up on something that I do through said entertainment, what exactly can I do about that? If you look up to me as a role model, but your parents might not think I'm the coolest guy on the internet to look up to, because despite of how nice of a guy I might be, I'm just not up to their standards, what can I do about that? Change who I am so other people can change to be better people? I mean, that sounds all fine and dandy on paper, but let's all use our brains for like 5 seconds. Let's take me and my personality. Not gonna lie, my personality is very different from what most people are typically used to. And that's exactly why you guys would want to watch me in the first place, because I stand out. Now, for every individual there is that watches my content, there might be certain things they might like about me and certain things that they might dislike about me. Now, I think the big question here is, how in the flying fuck do you think or expect me to please every single body? Some people's aspects that they like about me could be exactly what others dislike about me, because they're like, oh, I don't like the way you do this because you'd influence other people in this sort of way. So at some point at the end of the day, no matter how much you slice it, when it comes to being responsible for your audience, it's practically fucking impossible, because everybody else is going to have a differing opinion on what you should or shouldn't do, because your audience is going to pick up on those said things. It's actually fucking impossible. I could imagine dumb petty things such as, oh, this YouTuber plays soccer? Oh, he's influencing his audience and other viewers to play soccer. Dad that watches that content, I want my son to play football. I don't want him to play no pansy sport, man. He's changing my son. You could say that example that I used is a stretch, but that is the most generalized thing. If something as simple as that can have an influence over the people watching my content, what the fuck do you expect me to do? Because at the end of the day, I'm a human being, I'm not a god. I upload videos on the internet and you guys watch them and I make money. If I'm being real with you, you're not responsible for what someone else does. Okay, look, a rapper makes music, he talks about drugs and all this other stuff. If I rapped about my life and you suck me off so hard that you want to do the exact same things that I did, that's on you for being a bot. Because I'm just living my life. In the realest sense, no one could be responsible for what their audience does. I made Grand Theft Auto, and because I made Grand Theft Auto, I'm responsible for people wanting to go outside and kill somebody. I'm not responsible for that, because that's how you interpreted what I made/did. I could do something positive for entertainment and you could literally interpret it as something else. And I feel like that's what happened with iDubbbz. He sat there and called out the hypocrisy of other YouTubers. And because he had a bunch of dumbass trolls in his fan base that he met in real life, this dude's acting like, oh my god, I bred freaks of nature. You didn't breed freaks of nature. Every fan base has freaks in it. That's just gonna happen. Sonic as a fan base has freaks. Sports has freaks. Star Wars has freaks. And just because you saw a little imperfect side of your fan base, you saw like, damn, these niggas be watching my content? Just because you saw that, that does not mean you're responsible for them. If you were to change and do something differently, who's to say they'd even change in the first place? Trying to change your audience sounds like the craziest shit ever. Now me though, if you're a part of my audience and you're a loser, I'm definitely, we not having that. If you're in my Discord, we cleaning you up. But thinking that you could change yourself to change your audience is just the most unrealistic, dumbest thing I've ever heard. Because the math at the end of the day just says it's not possible. That's my take, but let's look at this guy's take.
I am absolutely responsible for my audience. If you want to, look out for people who are red flags, it's definitely people who had my mentality that say, I'm not responsible for what my audience does.
I completely agree. And there are so many fucking content creators out there that just leave that at the door. They like turn on, they go in their computer and they do their content and do this. And the second they're offline, they just like let the snowball go down the hill. You are absolutely responsible for your audience and what they're saying and doing and what's happening in different Discords and stuff. You have to. No one else can be. You are the mother that birthed that audience, right? They are a reflection of you. It makes me sick to think of like what you guys might say and do in other channels.
Now, as a YouTuber, I do understand that you do have influences over others. In fact, I have influences over others, some of my subs as well. I had an experience where a guy was literally trying to copy everything that I was doing. And it was because he was envious on what I quote unquote had. Now, as a YouTuber, how in the name of God do I fix that? How? Like, I gave the dude so many chances, tried to help him, all this other stuff. How do you change that? At some point, as a YouTuber, there's only but so much you can do. So to say that I have that responsibility to fucking parent these kids, or should I say these grown-ass men, is absolutely insane. I could be a positive influence, but at the end of the day, I'm not a fucking parent. I could see why people would be all like, let's play devil's advocate, right? YouTubers need to be, they're responsible of their audience, right? But I hope that when you say that, you have a completely different idea. Because if you mean like in a very generalized sense, you're just stupid. There's no way you can sit there and think that as a YouTuber, you're responsible for everything. But now let's say maybe I'm gonna use old PewDiePie, because in middle school, I didn't really like PewDiePie for this either. He used to say the R word a lot, the one that rhymes with grape. And me in middle school, I was like, dude, even I recognized this as like a fucking 14-year-old. This dude should not be saying this. But let's think about it. Should he not be saying this because it has the potential to influence others, or because it's just fucked up in general? A or B, pick one. And hopefully y'all picked option B, option number fucking 2, because that's the thing that really matters in the long run. Don't sit here with a straight face and tell me you need to change yourself so you can conform to others and make sure that they do the things that they're supposed to, when all this really boils down to is, hey, don't be fucked up. And if you're gonna be fucked up, remember that it's on the internet and people can judge you from it. Maybe saying grape over and over and over again while playing a video game is just kind of stupid in itself. There's not a reason for that. Now, when it comes to iDub saying the N-word, and this is coming from a black guy, he had a reason and a point to prove by doing that. Like Rice Gum and Tana can say the N-word, but when it comes to a nerdy white guy like iDubbbz, it's a big ass problem when he does it though. What is this picking and choosing shit? It's weird because it's like people, like iDubbbz was joking when he did those things, right? But it's like while he did that joke, there was a real message behind it, but because his audience was so stupid that that message just went over their heads, how is that on him? I'm sitting here proving a point, but because you don't get that point, I'm responsible for that? That is literally, no. I know this is a very gray area because there could be hundreds and hundreds of what if scenarios, But at the end of the day, it really is black and white, because as an entertainer, I have nothing to do with my audience. Kevin Hart makes a joke, a kid at school repeats the joke. It's inappropriate, but because Kevin Hart made the joke, he's responsible for the kid getting suspended at school. Maybe the audience shouldn't be so fucking dumb. That is the problem with iDubbbz. A dumbass audience, bunch of fucking fat ass Reddit bastards. Basement dwellers that think they're smart, but they're just a bunch of fucking dumbasses that are terminally online, that have no street smarts nor book smarts. No street smarts because they don't go the fuck outside. No book smarts because they don't read shit. They just sit on fucking Reddit reading dumbass, mind-rotting, looking at memes and shit. Like, no, bro. Maybe the viewer's a fucking dumbass. Maybe I'm not the viewer's parent. This whole entire scenario is the equivalent of me being like a master chef. I have a steak on a fucking cutting board, and I'm teaching somebody how to cut steak, right? I'm like, hey, can you go ahead and cut the meat? Can you cut the meat for me? Common sense, this dude would know I'm talking about the steak, but this dude's such a dumb fuck. He decides to go out and stab somebody. Oh, I didn't know what meat you were talking about. You're the chef. You're responsible. You didn't tell him to cut the steak on the cutting board. You said, go cut the meat. Y'all want content creators to be parents so bad? How's this for some fucking parenting? Maybe your child's just a dumbass motherfucker, lacking common sense, because they choose to be a failure. I can't live life for you. If I bring a horse to water and it does not drink, I cannot make it drink the water. So therefore, I have nothing to do with what the fuck my audience does. Now, Ludwig's take on this has got Twitter in shambles. The argument that statistically 1 out of 100,000 people will be unhinged, so you bear no responsibility on the other 99,999 is incredibly weak. That's the math, though. How is that weak when that's the math? I don't understand that, because like we learn math for a reason, right? You can't do that fucking fraction. It's like hand sanitizer. That shit kills 99.99% of germs. But what about the 0.1? The hand sanitizer could fix the 0.1 if we added more shit to it. But at that point, it's no longer hand sanitizer. And the same goes for a content creator. Oh, the content creator does all these things, but if we add this extra bit to it, it would no longer be a content creator. It would be a parent at that point. There's always going to be a point something, a 0.1, point what fucking ever. A fucking anomaly that no one can do anything about, and you just need to accept that, bro. There's going to be people who fail tests in school. There's going to be people that get intrusive thoughts, the wrong ideas based on anything. I make a positive video where I'm donating to charity. Oh, I have GTA gameplay in the background.
Oh, because little Jeffrey watched the GTA game in the background of your video, then you're donating to charity. He shot up the fucking store.
All I gotta say is, these unrealistic takes, these unrealistic expectations that everybody has for others rather than themselves is exactly why the world is the way it is. Rather than being accountable for myself, I'm going to let somebody else influence me, or I'm going to blame something else for that. Oh, what did the content creator do? What did the parent do? What did this do? Why is there an anomaly in the first place? Short answer, that's fucking life. Now, with all that being said, I hope to see you guys in the next video. Don't forget to post notifications, like, subscribe, comment. I'm out. Goodbye.